I'm finding this venture that Disney seems to have charged ahead with, taking its animated classics and doing them in live action, to be an interesting one if not wholly successful. While Maleficent was pretty terrible and misguided through and through, you do kind of have to admire the balls on whoever decided to walk into the studio one day to say, "Hey guys, let's do a completely contradictory story that actually undercuts the original." And last year's Cinderella was really quite good. Colourful, sincere, well acted, and the romance was a real improvement over its predecessor, so I'd been looking forward to seeing if Jon Favreau's retelling of the Jungle Book, in parts owing its based on credits to Rudyard Kipling's novels and the animated classic from 1967, and which sought to exhibit a distinctly impressive visual aesthetic by means of CG compositing a la Life of Pi, would stick the landing, proving that not only was Cinderella not just a one-trick pony, but that this movement can actually take us to new places. Well, good news. It really works. Favreau has crafted an enjoyable and surprisingly involving action-adventure with a lot of heart and respect that legitimately works and serves as a strong testament that this enterprise can really push us to fresh new ground. Our story, which you should already know unless for some reason you didn't have a childhood, finds us deep within the Indian jungle where a young man cub named Mowgli, played by Neel Sethi, a human adopted into a pack of wolves, is deemed in danger when the ruthless Shere Khan, a scarred tiger with a grudge against humankind, learns of his presence and vows to hunt him down. And with the threat of death hanging over his head, Ben Kingsley's Bagheera soon accompanies Mowgli en route to the man village. But on the way they encounter numerous creatures and scenarios, most notably Bill Murray's Baloo the Bear and Christopher Walken's King Louie, that give him a more expansive taste of what the jungle is really like. I can imagine the most notable thing people will cite will be the visual effects, and to be honest, yeah, they have every right to do so. The film was mainly realised through shooting the actor on a soundstage and using blue screen compositing and digital animation to bring it all to life, and the result is a gorgeous, luscious world that pops on screen, with completely organic characters that look damn right close to real. Bagheera in particular looks terrific. I don't know what exact trick Disney does, but it's the only studio that I can name that has somehow managed to take the Uncanny Valley defect and use it to better realise a fairy tale-like visual aesthetic that complements its fantasy stories as opposed to detracting from them, as it so often does, which is why you're completely on board with the rules of this world by the time the animals start talking. There's undoubtedly going to be someone out there that will criticise it for not looking 100% real, but the movie's not really asking you to think so, it's quite the opposite. That said, the biggest high point for me is the cast. There isn't one actor lending their voice to this enterprise that doesn't completely and utterly work. Ben Kingsley lends real gravitas to Bagheera, Bill Murray is utterly charming as Baloo, Christopher Walken informs King Louie with a threatening persona that I was not expecting, and as frustrated as I'm quickly becoming with the world constantly having to tell me how awesome Idris Elba is, yes Hollywood, I got it the first time, you don't have to constantly remind me time and again, there's no denying he's a quality actor that lends real deathly presence to Shere Khan. I'm not sure if I can nail down one directorial consistency with Favreau, at least not in the technical sense, but his films have always been infused with a palpable spirit that's eager to please and make for a fun viewing experience, and that's definitely true in this case. If not necessarily flawless, Jungle Book will definitely wind up as one of the most emotionally well-rounded family movies I reckon we'll see this year. We go from the grey midst of Kaa, to the shadowy, off-kilter, awestruck presence of Louie, to the beautiful green landscapes with Bagheera and Baloo, to the fiery, dangerous showdown with Shere Khan, and it totally works. This is a real world full of light and darkness, and if there's a winning tonal conceit that really does sell this as having something different to offer from the original, it's a sense of threat looming large over the proceedings. The filmmakers make a conscious decision to give Shere Khan more screen time than its predecessor, and it's a great move. I understand that especially young kids may not take to it very well, and you probably do want to pay attention to that rating this time round, mummies and daddies. This is not as cute and friendly as it all was in '67, but on my end, it's a smart, commendable move that takes the story to brave and more mature areas. Every moment with Khan is genuinely frightening. There's no beating around the bush with this guy, he is a cold-blooded killer, and I really do admire the film's guts to go dark and serious where necessary. Because, let's be honest, if there's a tiger out there trying to kill this kid, maybe it shouldn't be treated too lightly. Though there is a story beat thrown in there about Khan having killed Mowgli's real father that doesn't quite work. I don't know if that's in the book, but it feels a bit too foreshadowed for my liking, as if Mowgli is destined to get revenge for it, and to be honest, the guy has already hurt his friends and family and tried to kill Mowgli himself. Does he really need to also have killed his actual parent? Speaking of, while we're on downsides, while it's nice to pay homage to the original through vaguely revisiting two of the film's major songs, it doesn't quite play consistently. They find a way to integrate bare necessities organically, but in King Louie's sequence he just flat out sings "I Wanna Be Like You," whilst sitting down, so movements wise it's also just kind of awkward. I think if perhaps a third song were present it might not have seemed so jarring, and when I heard Car's "Trust in Me" sung very seductively by Scarlett Johansson during the credits, I couldn't help but wonder if it was originally intended to play during the film itself. I also have some reservations about Sethi as Mowgli. He looks the part and does a decent performance most of the time, but in some of the bigger emotional moments he does appear to struggle. It's nothing that ruins the film of course, and I really do sympathise with his situation considering he's probably just walking around on his own on a blue set as Favreau calls out directions to him through a megaphone. You don't have to go far to see what bad green screen direction looks like, and thankfully a halfway decent performance out of a child actor doing his first movie with no one to bounce off of, with Favreau at the helm, still gives us a more convincing performance than I can say I've seen of some adults in the same position. Narratively, however, things have been changed for the better. There's a nice backseat development that happens with Baloo and Bagheera becoming buddies, and while we miss out on a couple of familiar set pieces, namely the vultures and the elephant march, we still get a nod to it, and some extra needed breathing room is given for Mowgli's relationship with the wolves towards the start, offering more emotional context for his family connection with the animals. A bigger emphasis is also put on the theme of fire, or as the characters in the movie call it, the red flower, which becomes a major plot point. And while its thematic purpose of man versus nature offers parallels to Bambi of all things, hey, if you're gonna steal from any classic, why not make it the
best Disney animated movie ever made?
And while I won't spoil the ending since things turn out a bit differently this time round, it fixes a major character issue with the original, and fans of the 67 version should appreciate a particular aesthetic nod towards the end. It's going to be tough not to compare Jungle Book to its animated predecessor, and while the original is still infectiously joyful and iconic, and no one can take that away from it, Favreau and company have made a compelling, entertaining, and mature version that finds a way to incorporate the differences into its screenplay seamlessly, differentiating it from the original whilst letting it stand strong on its own, and I look forward to seeing where this venture takes us to next time. Cheers for watching guys, and as always if you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel.